Brad Pitt has long been one of Hollywood's most celebrated actors, a figure admired for his talent, charisma, and striking presence. But behind the glitz, red carpets, and magazine covers, there has always been a private life that few have truly glimpsed. For decades, fans speculated about his relationships, his romances, and the woman who might have captured his heart completely. And now, after years of silence, Brad Pitt has finally spoken the truth. It isn't a fleeting crush, a brief affair, or a Hollywood fling that he casually mentions between interviews. This is the woman he admits shaped him, inspired him, and held his heart through the highs and lows of fame. The revelation is both shocking and deeply human, reminding the world that even the biggest stars experience love in ways that are intimate, complex, and sometimes hidden from the public eye. For years, rumors swirled. Hollywood tabloids speculated endlessly about his relationships, exes, and rumored flames. But Brad kept quiet, protecting the woman who mattered most. No interviews, no public confessions, no social media posts, just silence. Until now, his admission reveals a depth of emotion that fans rarely see, and it sheds light on the side of Brad Pitt that has always remained private. The man who loves quietly, fiercely, and with unwavering devotion. This is the story of the love that endured behind the cameras, beyond the headlines, and away from the public eye. A love that Brad Pitt now openly calls the most important of his life. And for the first time, the world can see the truth behind the Hollywood legend. Even the brightest stars are guided by the heart. Long before Brad Pitt became a household name and Hollywood's golden heartthrob, he was a young man navigating the uncertain terrain of ambition, self-discovery, and the first stirrings of love. He had charm, talent, and a striking presence that made him stand out. But beneath the surface was a vulnerability and yearning few could see. Among the whirlwind of auditions, small roles, and long hours on set, he met someone who would change the course of his life, not through drama, but through quiet, unwavering connection. Their bond was immediate yet subtle, the kind of intimacy that doesn't demand validation or public approval. They spent hours talking about dreams, fears, and life beyond the spotlight. Brad often described those early conversations as some of the most profound moments of his life. In her, he found understanding, empathy, and a kind of acceptance he had never encountered before. She saw him not as a rising star or a face destined for fame, but as a man with complexities, insecurities, and a capacity for love that deserved respect. As Brad's career began to soar, the pressures of Hollywood crept into their lives. Movie shoots, promotional appearances, and the ever-watchful media made sustaining the intimacy challenging. Yet, the relationship endured because it wasn't built on appearances or societal expectations. It thrived on trust, loyalty, and the quiet assurance that no matter how far life pulled them apart, their connection remained unshakable. Brad recognized that this love was different from anything he had known, precious, rare, and, most importantly, authentic. The world saw glimpses, a casual photograph, a passing mention, or an offhand anecdote, but these brief windows never captured the depth of their bond. Brad deliberately kept their relationship private, knowing that Hollywood's glare could distort, exploit, or trivialize what they shared. For him, this wasn't about secrecy. It was about protecting something sacred. He learned early that fame could grant adoration, but it could never safeguard what truly matters in a relationship. Throughout the highs and lows of his early career, she remained his anchor. The challenges were not just professional, they were personal as well, navigating family expectations, emotional growth, and the difficulties inherent in a life under public scrutiny. But these challenges strengthened rather than weakened their bond. Brad credits this period as formative, teaching him lessons about patience, resilience, empathy, and the kind of emotional honesty that few people experience so early in life. Even as Hollywood began to recognize him as a rising star, Brad never let the world interfere with their private connection. He learned that love is not a performance, and loyalty cannot be measured by public attention. In their shared moments, away from cameras and expectations, he found clarity, contentment, and the kind of trust that defines a lifelong relationship. Looking back, Brad has acknowledged that this early romance shaped his understanding of love and commitment. She was not a fleeting attraction, a Hollywood dalliance, or a temporary companion. She was, in every sense, the love of his life, the person who anchored him through uncertainty, helped him grow into the man he became, and remained, in his heart, a constant source of inspiration and devotion. This chapter of Brad Pitt's life, now revealed after decades of discretion, reminds the world that even those who live under the brightest lights can experience love in its quietest, most profound form. And it was this love, nurtured in privacy and strengthened by authenticity, that would come to define the core of his heart. As Brad Pitt's career skyrocketed in the late 1980s and 1990s, the pressures of Hollywood began to weigh heavily on both him and the woman who had captured his heart. With blockbuster films, award nominations, and increasing media attention, the couple faced challenges few young lovers ever encounter. Yet, through every upheaval, their bond remained remarkably steady. For Brad, this was a love built not on superficiality or convenience, but on trust, mutual respect, and a shared understanding of life's complexities. The couple's early romance had already laid a strong foundation. They knew how to communicate, how to be honest about feelings, and how to support one another without judgment. These qualities became essential as Brad navigated the intense scrutiny that comes with Hollywood stardom. Paparazzi followed his every move. Tabloids speculated on his relationships, and gossip columns twisted stories into sensational headlines. Amid this chaos, he learned that true love is often tested not by absence, but by the constant noise of the world trying to intrude. Despite the demands of his career, Brad never allowed fame to overshadow the relationship. He made time for her quiet dinners, late-night conversations, and stolen weekends away from the cameras. Every effort was a reminder that their connection mattered more than public recognition. The woman he loved became both a confidant and a grounding presence, someone who reminded him of the man he was beneath the Hollywood persona. She understood the sacrifices required for fame, but never let those demands redefine the essence of their love. There were obstacles, of course. Distance caused by filming schedules, misunderstandings amplified by rumors, and the inevitable stress of public scrutiny created tension at times. Yet these challenges only reinforced the strength of their commitment. Brad often reflected that the hardships they faced together were as important as the joyful moments. They taught resilience, patience, and the importance of standing together in adversity. In interviews later in life, he would credit her for shaping his emotional maturity, saying that the lessons he learned from their relationship were as significant as anything he learned on set. Even the most fleeting interactions in public reminded him of the precarious balance they maintained. Fans, paparazzi, and colleagues frequently assumed that romantic relationships in Hollywood were temporary, transactional, or staged, but theirs was anything but superficial. Behind the cameras and beyond the flashing lights, they cultivated a love that was patient, enduring, and remarkably private. Brad understood that the true measure of a relationship is not in public displays, but in the loyalty and emotional support partners provide each other when no one is watching. Over time, the couple's love became a source of inspiration and stability. While Brad's fame grew to global proportions, their relationship remained his personal sanctuary. The intensity of his professional life contrasted sharply with the calm of their private moments, highlighting the value of intimacy, understanding, and shared history. She was not just a partner, but a mirror to his own growth, a person who reflected both his strengths and his vulnerabilities, helping him navigate the complexities of success without losing his sense of self. Ultimately, their enduring relationship proved that even amid Hollywood chaos, genuine love can survive and flourish. Brad Pitt's eventual confession that she was the love of his life was not a sudden revelation, but the natural acknowledgement of a bond that had been quietly resilient for decades. It was a recognition that fame, accolades, and public attention are fleeting, but loyalty, trust, and authentic emotional connection are timeless. As years passed and Brad Pitt's career reached unprecedented heights, the relationship that had begun quietly in his early years remained a central force in his life. While Hollywood spotlighted his films, awards, and high-profile romances, he carried a private truth with him. The woman he loved had shaped not only his heart, but also his understanding of himself. Fame may have brought admiration, wealth, and global recognition, but it could never replace the profound connection he shared with her. Their love had endured challenges both ordinary and extraordinary. Long filming schedules often kept them apart for weeks or even months, and the relentless attention of the media amplified minor disagreements into potential crises. Yet, through every obstacle, they relied on a foundation of trust, communication, and shared values. Brad often reflected that the very intensity of his professional life made their personal bond even more vital. It was the anchor that kept him grounded when the world seemed to spin out of control. What made their relationship extraordinary was its quiet resilience. While Hollywood romances were frequently short-lived, sensationalized, or designed for publicity, theirs existed beyond cameras and headlines. They cultivated intimacy in private moments, late-night conversations, handwritten notes, and quiet support during difficult decisions. These gestures, invisible to the public eye, carried far more weight than any award or accolade. Brad recognized that true love is nurtured in these small, consistent acts rather than in grand gestures meant for spectacle. Even as the world speculated about his other relationships, he never allowed rumors to overshadow the importance of their bond. She was not merely a chapter in his biography, she was the constant through every transition. The person who reminded him of his values and kept him connected to the human side of life. Amidst Hollywood's chaos, Brad credits her with teaching him patience, humility, and emotional honesty. Lessons that shaped him not just as a lover, but as a person. Reflecting on their decades together, he often recalls moments that seemed ordinary but were deeply meaningful. Walks through quiet streets, shared meals, or even the simple act of listening to one another after a long day became symbols of a love that had endured despite time, distance, and the pressures of fame. These moments, invisible to the cameras and unnoticed by the public, carried more significance than any red carpet appearance or magazine feature. Ultimately, Brad's confession that she was the love of his life is a recognition of a lifelong truth. It's an acknowledgement that the most meaningful relationships are not measured by public attention or external validation, but by loyalty, understanding, and mutual growth. Even after decades, he could no longer remain silent about the depth of his feelings, the sacrifices made, and the unwavering bond that had stood the test of time. This chapter of his life serves as a reminder that the people who truly shape us are often not those in the spotlight, but those who see us, understand us, and remain steadfast through life's ups and downs. For Brad Pitt, the love he kept private for so long was never diminished by fame, it was strengthened by it, enduring as a quiet but powerful force in his extraordinary life. In the end, his confession is both a personal revelation and a universal truth, that the greatest love stories are sometimes hidden from the public eye, lived in quiet devotion, and cherished long after the applause has faded. Decades after their romance began, Brad Pitt reflects on the love that quietly shaped his life with a sense of gratitude and clarity. Fame may have come and gone, films may have premiered and faded, but the bond he shared with the woman he calls the love of his life remained constant. In a world obsessed with headlines, public image, and fleeting relationships, their connection endured, proving that the truest measure of love is not publicity, but longevity, trust, and devotion. In recent interviews, Brad has spoken candidly about why he kept their relationship private for so long. He acknowledges that the world often misunderstands the depth of celebrity relationships, assuming that proximity to fame automatically defines the importance or authenticity of a romance. For him, this love was never performative. It existed beyond the cameras, beyond public scrutiny, and beyond the fleeting fascination of fans. Protecting it was an act of respect, a deliberate choice to prioritize the relationship over external validation. Today, Brad views their love as one of the most formative experiences of his life. It taught him patience, learning to navigate long stretches apart during filming without anxiety or doubt. It taught him empathy, understanding the complexities of balancing ambition with commitment. And it taught him humility, recognizing that fame, awards, and accolades are secondary to human connection. Every lesson learned within this relationship informed his choices, both in personal life and career. and continues to guide him as he navigates life beyond Hollywood's relentless spotlight. Even in moments of reflection, Brad often recalls simple experiences that define the depth of their bond: quiet dinners at home, long conversations that stretched into early mornings, and small gestures of understanding that required no words. These ordinary moments, invisible to the public eye, carried a profound significance that fame could never replicate. He realized that the extraordinary often resides in what is private, intimate, and consistent over time. The legacy of this love also shaped his understanding of relationships in general. While Hollywood can be a breeding ground for superficiality, distraction, and fleeting infatuation, Brad came to value authenticity above all else. He emphasizes that true love is sustained through mutual respect, patience, and the ability to endure both life's triumphs and its challenges together. Fame may have been glamorous, but it could never provide the lessons, comfort, or unwavering loyalty that he found in this enduring partnership today. Brad's confession stands as both a personal revelation and an inspiration. By openly acknowledging the woman who captured his heart, he demonstrates that even amidst the glittering chaos of Hollywood, it is possible to find a love that is profound, steadfast, and life-changing. He highlights that relationships need not be performed for the public. Their value is intrinsic, defined by commitment and emotional depth rather than appearances or recognition. Ultimately, this chapter of his life is a testament to prioritizing the heart over the headlines. Brad Pitt's journey reminds the world that love, when genuine, endures quietly, profoundly, and powerfully. Even after decades, he recognizes that this woman shaped his life in ways no film, award, or role ever could. Fame may be temporary, but love, true, authentic, enduring love, is timeless. In the end, Brad Pitt's confession is more than a revelation. It is a celebration of a lifelong connection, a tribute to the quiet strength of a woman who inspired him, and a reminder that the most significant relationships are often the ones kept closest to the heart, away from the world's scrutiny. For him, she was, is, and always will be the love of his life.